I've been using Unity since 2013 and I've learned tons of things over the years, but my story in game development started before Unity. Back in school, I used to play around with something called UDK. If you have no idea what UDK is, back then Unreal Engine was a paid tool and UDK was basically a free limited version of Unreal tools. And even back then you could get impressive results with very little effort. Skyboxes, fog, water, prototyping, a lot of things were basically drag and drop. Because they had this idea that a developer's job is not to solve things that have already been solved, but to save time and focus on the specific gameplay and code of their game. Years passed and even though Unity improved a lot, you still have to do a lot of things from scratch. All the time I found myself re-implementing the same code, reusing prefabs, searching through menus in the editor and spending my energy more in the process than the results. And after years of this, I decided to create a tool to move Unity closer to what I think it should be, improving my workflow and reducing friction. The final result is Phantom Navigator, with different features designed to solve almost all of the pain points I had while working in Unity. Okay, so let me show you how it works. First we have the game, the project itself with all the architecture, the implementations and details. And imagine that we have some kind of external solution library or maybe a toolbox where we can pick one of the solutions that we have already solved before and bring it to the project. To do it, we can simply type Shift-G to open the global actions from the Phantom Navigator, type the name of the module that we want, and when we press enter, select it, Phantom Navigator will bring it to your project and solve everything, so it will import everything and you don't have to worry about the boilerplate anymore. You simply import the feature into your game. And I know we already had options to do it before. For example, you could create a custom package or export a .unit package file, but let's be honest, we didn't do it. And we didn't because there's a friction of going out of the editor. You know, minimizing the editor, dealing with your file system, organizing things, and not only that, once you export the package, it is a closed box. And if you want to change anything, you need to repeat the exporting process again. So if we didn't have this friction, we could rethink packages as part of the workflow. And this is where things get really interesting in Phantom. The magic starts when you start realizing that now you can automate your own coding style. Now with a single shot you can recreate that player script that you end up using every time, or that script to read input or a service, I don't know. But you know what are the solutions that you reuse every time. And over time you start getting more and more aware of your code and suddenly now you are addicted to designing solutions that you can reuse every time. Want a point and click script? An orbital camera, or do you want your game to be ready for localization? Now you can do it in one shot. Let me show you. Here I just want to add a free camera mode in-game just like we have in Cine mode. Watch me solving this problem with Phantom Navigator and keep track of how much time it took me to do it. For an experienced developer, this itself is already really good, but imagine if you are the lead developer of a team. When you want to create a new screen or pop-up or seasonal event, you have your own coding standards. I had this experience of finding a folder with a similar feature and going back and forth, copying the folders using the correct naming convention and all the boring work before the actual real work. With Phantom Navigator, you can create a quick action, new seasonal event for example, and suddenly now you have all the boring work and boilerplate done. And what if someone from another project realizes that the folder structure your team is using in the project makes things easier to maintain? With Phantom, now you can share the quick action and the other whole team can now create features using the same rules. And now your devs can start gradually switching between different projects because you have a company level project structure. For example, in my projects I like to have a game folder, and under it I like to create a screens folder for different scenes. Here I will use a quick action that will ask me the screen name, and it will create everything that I need using my own folder structure. Okay, now you know how useful quick actions can be. Let me show you how can you create one. To start creating a quick action, first we need to open the quick actions window. And here's a list of all the custom actions that I have. Click the plus button to create a new custom action. Change the value in the execution field to template recipe. You can choose which palette this action will be available in. I will select the global palette. We can generate a new script by clicking the plus button in the output files. In the path field, specify where you want the file to be created. Now, in the template field, you can write whatever code you want. I will just create a simple class with a comment. You can also change the icon for this quick action if you want. The same icon will appear in the palette. Now click the Save button and notice that your new action will appear in the list. Back in the editor, now if I press Shift G to open my global palette and start typing the name of my new quick action, it will appear. If I select it, it will execute precisely what I asked for, a new file in the correct location with the code I expected to have. But not every time do you want hard-coded logic. We can add parameters that we fill in when executing the quick action, making it dynamic. These parameters can be inserted in your code with the values you provide, and you can also use them for the file path. Perfect, now you know how to create a quick action in Phantom Navigator. But keep in mind this is just one of many features that you get from this package. I did not spend time marketing this tool because it was designed to solve my problems, but this changed my interaction with Unity so intensely that I felt I needed to share. I would love your feedback, and if you liked it, please consider buying it on the asset store. Thank you!